Good morning. I think everybody knows, but I want to tell you that I like to start out the service with a joke because, some of the things that we get into spiritually in the lesson, it kind of makes us think heavy, but I want us to go into it with a light heart and know that we can always laugh at ourselves. This joke is, I want to tell you that it's the best joke, according to me, that I've ever said so far. It is. And the reason I liked it was because it made me think. I didn't see the punchline coming, and it made me laugh so hard afterwards because I didn't see it coming. But it's entitled A Potato Garden. And I guess maybe I also relate to it because we had a farm in Kansas. My grandfather did for a little bit. It wasn't that big. It was probably, 10 acres at the most. And so, but we had two of it. It looked like by the end of the season it was plowed, but what it was rototilled. And if you've ever been in Kansas when it's hot, it is hard ground. You can go for a while without rain in it. And so we had to rototill it and plant potatoes and everything. So anyway, to the joke. An elderly man had a potato garden, and he was it was time of the year to plant the potato garden. Well, the ground was hard, just like I said, and the few years before, when he got to a certain age, he asked his only son to help him, Fred. And his son would come out every year and help him till up the ground and plant his potatoes. Well, Fred was in prison this year. Yeah, he was innocent, but he was found guilty and put in prison. And so, the old man was sitting there thinking, I'm feeling bad, saying, I'm too old, I can't get this darn potatoes planted because the ground's too hard and I just can't do it by myself. So I'm going to write to Fred like I usually do and tell him my predicament. And wrote a letter, said, Dear Fred, I feel really bad this year because I'm not going to be able to plant my garden because the ground's so hard and I'm just not as strong as I used to be. And all my troubles would be over if you would just be here, Fred. I wish you were here. Love, Dad. And so a few days passed, and the old man got a letter from Fred. It said, Dear Dad, please don't dig up the garden, because that's where I buried the body. Love, Fred. Well, that same night at 4 o'clock in the morning, FBI agents and local police authorities and everybody descended on that house, the old man's house, and they dug all night looking for those bodies. Found not one. And that same day, he received another letter. The old man received another letter from his son. It said, Dear Dad, this is the best I could do under the circumstances. Thank your potatoes now. Love, Fred. You guys are smarter than I am. You saw that coming. I really like that joke. I don't know, it's really sweating so much you can't. Anyway, let's say our statements of truth together, please. I am the child of God. I am deserving of good in my life. I am accepting my good now. Well, as most of you know, I was blessed to be raised in the Unity teachings, and this week we have, during Advent, we have the teaching of love. And so I am very fortunate to be able to talk on this Sunday because love was in my house and when I was a child, and it was a great thing. What's that? And now, it's there now, sweetheart. Don't worry, it's still there. But when I was a child, I really enjoyed growing up with the Unity teachings because I remember that I had that blessing of love from my parents. And it was more than just an act that my parents did. It was more of an inner knowing that the love was always there. And I think that a lot of us, especially when we're children, we can connect with love, even though it might not on the outer look like love. We can connect with it a lot better. Sometimes when you as a child you get in trouble, your parents scold you or something. Hopefully you do then. Not all the time. You know it right then, but afterwards you know that they were scolding you to try to help you become better. And so there was love behind it, even though it did not picture like love. Well, the reason that we had love in our family was because of faith. When you have a household of faith, love will come about, or love will express. My mother, who was also raised in unity, always had faith, knowing that the best is happening right now, and is going to continue to happen in the future. There was always an air of anticipation for the next great thing that life was going to offer her. And when you have someone in the house that has faith like that, they will express that faith through love. And when you express love to one another, it builds up your faith. So like you have probably figured out, in our personal journey, next slide, in our personal spiritual journey, everything that we do and every action that we take that expresses good, that expresses God, builds on every aspect of our spirituality. When we express love to one another, we are growing in our spiritual understanding and growing the race consciousness. That in turn enlivens our own world, and the goodness that is God is made more evident in everyone's daily lives. Being raised in unity, I always knew that love was the answer to anything in life. If I just inserted my love, all would be well. However, there are two ways to express love. First, there's the human understanding of love, which is usually, not always, but usually attached to another person or thing. Then there's the spiritual understanding of love, spiritual love, or unconditional love, which is not attached to anyone or anything. It is given to the world for love's sake. Because love is something natural, we have to express it to one another. We have to. We are born from love, and when we tap into that spiritual understanding, that spiritual knowing, then we can do nothing but express unconditional love in our lives. Sometimes in this physical expression of life, we get confused or get kind of hazy on what type of love we are expressing. Jez and Linda are going to share a song with you right now, written by Burt Bacharach, entitled "Love Still the Answer." And that'll let us know how this sometimes happens.
Great Bacharach song. How about one more hand for Linda for singing it so beautifully?
That was excellent. Thank you both. I appreciate all the effort put into that. Because it was a perfect song of what I'm trying to express today. Now, how many of us have had that trail of tears when love was involved? One of the great things about music is that it can bring across a point of a message sometimes much easier than any other medium. Of course, it is up to us to determine how we are choosing to receive the message, more than the messenger itself. Currently, we have our wireless microphones. You notice they haven't been here a couple of weeks. They're in to have repaired because they're having some problems. But because it's not the microphones that are having the problems, it's the receiver. And the receiver ties into the motherboard. And the receiver is the one that's malfunctioning. So the receiver, that is the go-between, the message and the brain, is not working properly. And we can get that way sometimes. We choose not to receive a message in a good way, so we hold a grudge against someone for the message that they have sent. And sometimes we may even spread that negativity that we received or interpreted to somebody else. You know about the water cooler talk, sometimes it gets kind of nasty and says, "Did you hear what Jamie said about Bob? Can you believe it? I would never say that about somebody." When essentially that's what you're doing when you spread that. Yet it is up to us how we choose to receive a message and what we do with the message that we receive. You see, however we receive a message, we are giving that feeling power in our life. Whether that be a negative connotation or a positive, life-affirming connotation. We are giving that negative or positive idea life in our life. And whichever way we choose to go, we will see more of that in our life, whether it be negative or positive. You may be thinking to yourself right now, well, This lesson's supposed to be about love, and you're talking about how we receive messages from other people. What does that do, or what does that have to do with love? Well, here's how. Love is an inner quality. It is part of who and what we are. All spiritual energy is a mass of love. All spiritual energy is a mass of love. If we take something that someone else has said or done in a negative connotation, then we are denying our spiritual identity from expressing. We are suppressing our spirituality when we receive something in a negative way or express something in a negative way. Charles Fillmore put it wonderfully in part of his definition of love from the Revealing Word. He said, love is an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everybody. It insists that all is good. And by refusing to see anything but good, it causes that quality finally to appear uppermost in itself and in all things. In other words, we can finally value ourselves, have self-worth that we are worthy of, that we need to have, to see ourselves as a spiritual being, and thus see the truth in all things. How many people here have seen the movie The Matrix? It's old now, I know, but some of you have. Those of you who haven't, ask those who have. Because it's very similar, what I'm talking about is very similar to where Neo, the main character, at the end of the movie, figures it all out and sees everything going on with ease. And he's not fighting life anymore. He's become a part of it, and everything comes to him, and he sees more clearly and more of the truth. Love is the most important thought or action that we can share with one another. We have to understand that love cannot exist in a vacuum, though. Love has to be expressed. And the part that many of us have a problem with, or at least I have, is that love has to be received. Since love cannot live in a vacuum, it must be in the flow of our life. This means that love has to be both expressed and received. This is how the spiritual flow of the universe is a continuum. Yet this is also how our understanding of love can be misinterpreted. During my mother's physical life, I always knew that I was loved, and giving love to her and others was always easy for me, and still is. Because for me, give love to others is easy because I have a lot of practice at it, for one, and I understand that it is a natural expression for me as a spiritual being. I cannot do anything but express love from my spirit. The part that has been hard for me, like I said, is sometimes accepting love from people I don't know very well. This is a continual practice, though, for me, and that has to become as easy as giving love for me, or else I'm stopping some of the flow of good to the race consciousness. We have to accept our good now. Just like our third statement of being. We have to accept our good now. When we were in Kansas City at Unity Village, our oldest daughter, which none of you have met, we told you about her a little bit, love her. I was at work one day, and she had gone to school and told the counselor there that she was being locked in her room at home and that she lived with 26 other foster kids. Well, yeah, it's crazy, but since Francie and I had been foster parents in Wichita, Kansas, we knew that the local division of family services was going to come out and investigate the charges, which they should. When you report like that, they should. And I know that most of you haven't experienced this, but it's not a pleasant experience when this happens. The investigator comes to your home, the home that you live in, and looks at things assuming that you're guilty of the charges put forth. Of course, you're supposed to stay calm and act like there's nothing wrong. No problem with some stranger coming in your house and looking for your personal things who thinks you did something horrible. This experience, for whatever reason, though I received it when I was at my office at Unity Village, it made me question the notion that I had always had in life up to that point. That all I had to do was add love to the situation, and that love would always be enough. I was in this questioning mode right after the phone call when another Unity minister came into my office, and she could see that I was distressed. And she held the space for me to verbally look at and review my beliefs. Over time, I had to look at the concept of, when I express and give love, is it spiritual love that doesn't have any attachments, it's unconditional? Or is it a human love that ties to the outcome? And when something happens in life that may rock our world, what kind of power are we giving it by receiving the message in a certain way? You see, I received the message that my daughter put out as a failure on my part of giving love, and it questioned my lifelong beliefs. But in reality, it was not that at all. It was an opportunity for myself to look at where more love was needed and could be given. Just like the song said, love is the answer. No matter what, I swear love is. Still the answer. Just like it always was. When we receive a message in a negative, or as a negative, then we are talking, or we're taking on someone else's problems and stopping our own innate ability to be the solution. We can never be a part of the solution when we are a part of the problem. We have to rise above the problem to see the truth of the situation and hold that expression for the solution to be attained. Everyone in here has done that many times in their life before, whether you knew it or not. Listen to another part of the definition of love that Fillmore has. Love is the great harmonizer and healer. Whoever calls on God as Holy Spirit for healing is calling on divine love. Divine love will bring your own to you, adjust all misunderstandings, and make your life and affairs healthy, happy, harmonious, and free. And from Romans 13:10, love, therefore, is the fulfillment of the law. This morning when we were filling out our prayer slips, I had you write down some prayers for people that have been in the news the last couple of weeks. Nelson Mandela, of course, we can all see why we would want to have him in our thoughts, because of all the things that he not only went through in life, but more importantly, the things that he learned in life, and how he came out as not only the president of a country, but also the love that he showed when he had the power as the presidency. Also, we can easily pray for the people of Sandy Hook, the remaining relatives of the kids that lost their life a year ago yesterday. But also I had you write down Carl Halverson Pearson. Carl was the young man that was the shooter in Friday's shooting in Centennial, Colorado. What do you think about that? Do you think that I duped you? Or do you realize that all of us are coming from the same place? We all have love within us. We are all, that Spirit of Christ is within us. And we have to come to a point where we realize that someone is in a hurtful situation before it expresses outwardly. When we give love to someone, we are seeing the divine in them. The Christ in you is recognizing and blessing the Christ in another. This is a natural expression of God through you. Remember, don't confuse you as only being a vessel for the work of God, because you get to make the decision, the choice to express that which is within you, the Christ. The part of us that is God, that part of us that is Spirit, that part of us that lives life from a knowing of spiritual principles and expresses love with all whom we come into contact with. That is the Christ. You are the light of the world because you choose to be the light of the world. You choose to let your light shine. In closing, I want to share with you another part of the definition that Fillmore gives for love. The pure essence of being that binds together the whole human family. Of all the attributes of God, love is undoubtedly the most beautiful. In divine mind, love is the power that joins and binds in divine harmony the universe and everything in it. The great harmonizing principle known to man. This indeed is an understanding that God is blessing you now. Thank you, Jay.